All right, here we go. Okay, I'm going to get a little personal into my trading life. All right, so applying the Jared Tendler's A, B, and C game framework. Okay, I'm going to show you what I did. I don't know if this is right. It sounds right after reading his book and spending a lot of time implementing this into my trading, and it works. So I'm going to say this is one way to do it. All right, and I'm going to get very personal here. I'm going to, expose a lot of my flaws, a lot of things that I still currently struggle with. So here we go. Let's get into my personal day trading life. Am I really a day trader? I mean, I do day trade, but is that my label? Hope not. All right, here we go. So, Jared Tendler's A, B, and C game framework. All right. So, basically, your A game, your peak performance state, you're clear, you're patient, you're confident, you trust your plan, and you handle the market's uncertainty, right? You're not overwhelmed with emotion. You're in control. Okay, B game. Some mistakes start creeping in, but you're aware. All right. You might be second guessing or overthinking, but mostly still in control. Okay. C game. C game is your emotional hijack. Okay. This is where you're acting on impulse, fear, anger, frustration. Performance is well below your capability. Okay. One of the first things I want to recommend is assess where you are on this before you even get to the market. Okay, if you slept 2 hours, you're not coming in at your A game. Okay, I shared in the video, I slept 2 hours, 3 hours. I didn't trade that day. I decided not to. Some people feel like, oh, you should be able to trade at any time. You don't need to have good rest and a clear mind. Okay, from my experience, I do 100%. Okay, so let's get into my personal Chichaku's game. Here we go. Okay. Some of the things that I used for this analysis was the fear of being wrong. Okay. Um, I didn't even know that fear existed until I started day trading. But I legit fear being wrong. I do. I don't like being wrong. I have a problem with being wrong. And let's just say in the beginning you close 50-50, right? You got to be willing to be wrong half the time. But a 50-50 at a 1 to 2 is profitable, right? You win 200, you risk 100. And you do that half the time, you're going to win. But you have to be comfortable losing half the time. So 5 out of 10 means I need to lose. Oh man. Anyway, so fear of being wrong, okay? And it depends on how that plays out too, right? For me, fear of being wrong was I would have to revenge trade so that way I know I'm right. All right. I used to enter a short at a level, market would continue to pump. Excuse me. I would enter a short again. I would enter a short again. It would pump. I'd enter a short again. Here I am trading against the trend, trying to catch a reversal, but I know I'm right because I don't like being wrong. Okay. Greed. Okay. I'm not greedy. I'm really not. I would not classify myself as greedy. And this is why this one snuck up on me, right? Because I don't care about Lambos and, Rolexes and, penthouse and those kinds of things. I don't. I like, if I was a bazillionaire, I wouldn't have a Lambo or a Bugatti. I'd probably have, don't judge me, a Mustang GT Premium. And even that, I'd have to be pretty wealthy because I would spreadsheet the difference between the Mustang GT Premium and the Toyota Camry SC that's all decked out. Cost of ownership, I'd probably rock in the Camry and be happy as pie. All right, maybe I get some cool emblems for it, things like that, right? So I don't really have greed, but when it comes to trading, I have severe greed, right? Because it just makes me want to really my greed, and this is why this is number 3, is rooted in ambition because I'm super ambitious to provide for my family and long-term, financial stability. And of course, like everybody else, I want this to become my one and only true, income provider. Right now, it's one of 3. And I'm happy to say that. I am that ambitious that I have 3, sources of income and I roll with them. And I work hard and I'm happy with it. And then lack of patience, okay? That is just something I am just impatient. When I want an account funded, I want it funded now. I don't want it funded later. I want it funded now. When I want to pull a payout, I want that payout now. I don't want it later. When I want a W, same thing. I want that W now. When I'm waiting for a setup, I'm like, I could just get in now. Okay, same thing. All right. So let's get back into this. Okay. So A game is when you're in your flow. B game is mistakes are creeping. C game is emotional hijacked. And then we're going to have an action plan of what to do. Okay. Excuse me, man. I'm still fighting all this pollen. All right. So, fear of being wrong. All right. So let's approach this. My A game, losses don't define me, right? When I'm in my A game, a loss is like, whatever, bro. Moving on. I accept the risk of a loss is normal. I don't need to defend myself. All right. Decisions are calm, based on my plan, not emotion. So when I'm analyzing myself, taking fear of being wrong into consideration, these are the thoughts that I double check, right? Do I let a loss define me and do I get really upset? All right. If so, I'm not in my A game. All right. So my B game, second guessing entries or hesitating after a loss. That happened today. I started at my A game today. I ended on a B game. Luckily I did not go to C game. Started to doubt my system's edge. Okay. Am I thinking again like, oh man, this trend line strategy, this EMA strategy, this ICT, I just don't know enough. I need to learn more about my strategy. I need to find a new strat. Okay, think about where you're at. But this is just starting. This isn't getting overwhelmed with those thoughts. These are just where these thoughts start. Like it's been a very long time actually since I've had this specifically, but I included it because I know it's going to speak to a lot of people. Because I do believe in my strategy. I've been trading the same strategy for like, I think I'm going on like a year and a half, and I've only tweaked it. I don't make major changes. Okay. Feeling urgency to prove you're right on the next trade. I sure felt that today. Okay. I did feel that. I felt like, you know, I took a couple losses in the morning because I was trying to catch a move. And that's okay. That is within my trade plan. I know I'm an aggressive trader. That is within my, operational expectancy, right? And I took a couple of very small losses, and then I ended up catching the trade that I wanted. So I ended up being green, and I was happy. But I did notice that I was starting to enter B game, right? So I didn't continue for the day, right? After I took a few losses and then hit that banger, I was like, I think I'm done. Like I'm feeling the stress. I had just pulled a payout, and it did reflect on my homepage of Top Step that like my account balance was minus my payout, which is what I usually look for. But I didn't get that confirmation email yet of like, hey, we're sending you your payout money to your bank. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, so if I go negative, are they going to process the payment and then send me, oh, you got denied. Sorry, this was more than 50%, because you lost $100. I ended up green for the day, so it doesn't matter. But yet again, that was creeping in my mind, right? That was adding extra stress. So I definitely recognized today I was operating B game. Okay. The other day I shared a video. I was definitely C game. So let's go over my C game with fear of being wrong in mind. Okay. So refusing to accept a stop out, removing or widening stops. Okay. Some of these things, guys, I added because I want this to speak to just more than me. I don't move my stops. It is like, I bet you in the past 150 trades, I may have moved it once or twice, maybe. Like, I just don't move them. Okay. But accepting that stop out, now that's a different story. Because am I itching to get back in? Am I itching to reverse that trade and go, fine, you don't want a long, Mr. Market? I'll short you. Right? Okay. We've all been there. Okay. Revenge trading, over trading, be right again, right? Because I have that need to be right. Okay. This is something I work with constantly. I understand that this is some kind of underlining thing with me that I need to be right. So this is something I constantly pay attention to every trading session. But now that I know, it's like I can coach myself through being wrong. And it's like, bro, it's okay, dude. You're gonna go on a 6-7 loss streak. But guess what? You're gonna go on a 6-7 win streak. It's gonna be a nice payout. Okay. All right. So emotional decision making, ignoring risks and trading randomly. Um, I would say yet again, I don't ignore risks very much. I do process risk a ton. I don't just have that random statement on when you download these, which I know I don't have the downloads available yet because I'm still building this out, but I'm making the videos. Eventually, I'm going to put the download link in all these videos for you so you can have this for free. Hopefully, build your own that's custom to you. But I don't ignore a risk. Now, accepting that risk, sometimes I risk too much and I really didn't want that, depending on where I'm at in my combines, because I adjust my risk as I go. You know, if I'm double down or triple down, not good. Trading randomly, usually if there's like a revenge trade and there's like a long setup and I took it and then we get a sweep of like a super local high that I don't want to take profit at, and then we start displacing down against my trade. A random trade would be to like flip that trade, because I do like flip my trades. Jesse Smart Money Casper calls it fail flip. Um, I That's something I do, but it has to have context, right? It has to make sense. But just doing that randomly is not okay. Okay. So these are the kinds of things I deal with because I have an issue of being wrong, because I've identified a fear of being wrong, right? And I don't know if it's just I like those W's and it just feels so good to my inner ego to be right. That's why I usually don't post like, look at my banger trade, you know, look, I've grown my account by this much and I just took this payout. Now, I do share a lot of that, but I try to share it balanced to like my losses and my wins so that way people can learn from them, right? And it's not me showing off, because that's important. Okay, so let's keep going. Oh, wait. Oh, hold on. Action plan. Write out. Losses are data, not judgment. And losses are a part of your data. If you have a trading plan that doesn't take any losses, please DM me. Okay. And of course, I know I'm not going to get that DM. They're data. They're not, it's not judgment. It doesn't define who you are. Journal after the loss. And guys, journaling could just be a Discord conversation with somebody or just some inner thinking to yourself and talk about it, right? To yourself about that trade. Okay. And accept it and truly accept it. I try to do that prior to execution, actually. I visualize the loss and the win and I accept both. That really helps me because then I don't have to be right. All right, rate your execution, not the outcome. I don't care about like when I talk to people about their journaling, I don't care about their W's, their P&L. I don't care about your P&L. All I want to know is rate your execution. Did you follow your plan? Yes or no? Okay? We should not care about the outcome. This will happen. If you find a good strategy and I could probably send you 5 that'll work, you if this is your focus, then you're it's not going to be good. If this is your focus, it's going to be good. Okay. All right. Practice intentional taking small losses to desensitize being wrong. That is huge, guys. I did this. I dropped to like 1 micro, 2 micro for a while. Now I'm doing that now, but that's because I went ahead and pulled a huge payout and it didn't leave me much of a buffer. And it's just part of my rules. Like when I get to where I can pay myself, I don't care if there's $300 in there. I'll pull $150 to pay myself. Okay. Now my smallest payout was like 550, right? $550, but I took it. And that left me with like $587 in my trading account. So my risk is like 50 to $100 per trade. That's kind of small. All right. Most of the time it's much higher than that, but that is what it is. But this allows you to practice intentionally taking small losses to desensitize to being wrong. I try to leave myself like 7 to 10 losses depending on how much I have available on my account, right? If there's $1,000 in my funded account to where I'll zero out and lose that account, then I will risk, whatever the math is, $100 to $125 a trade, right? So I can have 7 to 10 losses and still have that account like in a row. Because how many times do we lose 7 to 10 in a row within our trading plan? Okay, I know sometimes you go on tilt, and I've literally had 12 losses, like boom, like all at once because I was not trading my plan. But I mean, within the plan, I don't lose 7 to 10 times usually. It's very rare. Okay. Pause and breathe after each stop out. This is true. Reset your mental state. Don't immediately try to get back in, and don't start calling where the market's going to go. I think that's one of the biggest habits people need to get out of is calling the market. You can't call this market. You can't, but you can trade your plan. You can execute like you've taught yourself, right? And the plan that you've built. Okay? All right, so let's move on to greed. Okay, greed and ambition is going to flow together. Let's just talk about it. All right, greed focused on the process of focused on process and risk control, right? So when I'm not being greedy, I'm more focused on my process, but not and risk control, but not like outcome, right? I'm not looking at how much am I going to win. Ooh, how much am I going to win on this trade? Okay, don't focus on that. Focus on the correct process and the risk control. All right. You're okay with self profit targets. So you're okay with set profit targets. All right. It's not like I keep dragging them further and further down so I can make more and more and more money. There we go. It's not like, does that make sense? Like I'm like, oh, $500, risked $125 to get 500. Look at that. Oh, look at the next liquidity. Ooh, I'd make 1200. Let's go. Okay. There are times for that, and there are ways to do that with a trailing stop. But when I'm not satisfied with that, that's a problem. So, okay, so my A game is I'm going to be satisfied with a set profit. If I risk 125 and I make 300, that's a great R&R, all right? And you're grateful for consistent small wins, right? Now, a lot of people are going to see this and be like, ugh, ew, small wins. Dude, small wins add up. I promise you, they do. Okay. So, yet again, if you're looking at this and you're like, ew, well, there you go. Get the book, read it, and see where your greed level's at. Okay. Because when I scored like an 11 out of 10 on the greed scale, I was like, what in the world? All right. B game. Here we go. Hesitating to take profits at target. Maybe it'll go further. There you go. Okay. Taking impulsive re entries to catch more. All right. I do something very specific that I'm going to talk about with greed. Take impulsive re entries to catch more. Forgetting to trail stops. Risk grows because you want more. Okay. The longer you're in a winning trade, really the more likely it's going to turn on you, right? Because that's the market. That's what it does, especially on a ranged bound day and stuff. So I trade time-based liquidity to time-based liquidity. So as soon as we sweep time-based liquidity, I need to be taking profits because that's a target. Okay, there's no guarantee it's going to go to the next further time-based liquidity. It might, but I need to have my stops in there appropriately based on that time-based liquidity. All right. C game, you start double downing on trades that are already extended. Okay. You're ignoring your exit plan, letting winners turn into losers. Has anybody done that? I actually did that today. It was a short scalp, right? And it moved up and it swept the time based liquidity. And I think I was in like, I don't know, it was 3 micros. And I'm like, I need to take two, right? And I didn't because I was like envisioning it continuing up. And I'm like, it would be nice to have those 2 micros in. And it was only like, it was a super scalp, guys. So it was really low. The risk was only like $168. And the profits were, like 400, 500 already. And I never took it, because I was envisioning further on, right? Now, that trade ended up taking a very small loss because I was able to trail my stop up, but it was still a small loss that shouldn't have ever happened. It should have been, you know, a $250, $300 winner, right? With us, so that should have been like a 1 to 2 because it didn't play fully out to what I was hoping for, which is fine. So over leveraging because you want that big payday. Okay. I had an account that was rocking, I was like $4,500 over. It already taken payouts. And it was like, I was envisioning that like first, 15, 20K payout, right? So what did I start doing? I start going in super heavy, right? I started trading like high level minis and yeah, it is what it is. Burned it up because I was focused on greed. Okay, so the action plan: lock in partials to build muscle memory, and following your targets. Now, what I want to say, okay, I really want this. The term "you'll never go broke taking profits" is incorrect in my opinion. Okay, you will go broke taking profits too early. It will destroy you. You need to shoot for a 1 to 2 at least. Okay, in my opinion. There's nothing wrong with trying to secure a little bit of profit, but if you have 5 micros and it moves, a couple $100 in your favor and you take out 3 so that way you feel good, right? And then the 2 run to your target, you just destroyed your R&R, okay? I do the best I can to consistently have a 1 to 2 R&R or better, okay? Usually if I start getting 1 to 3, 1 to 4, 1 to 5, I start shaving a lot of profits off, right? Because that's really good R&R. But I tend not to take too much until I get to that 1 to 2. Maybe I'll do a break even depending on the day and what the structural logic is telling me right at the market. Okay. So look to lock in partials, and to build muscle memory and follow your targets, right? So you want to be disciplined, but not to the point that you go broke. You do want to lock in profits, but not to the point where you go broke. This is a mathematical game, okay, and a mental game. So use the mantra: I'm not here to hit home runs. I'm here to trade well. All right. I love hitting home runs. I do shoot for home runs, but I do not ignore structure. I do not ignore what the market's telling me. If we start displacing against my trade and we start creating fair value gaps against my trade and we've swept time-based liquidity that's above, like at the opposing and it's coming against my trade now, I pay attention to that, okay? That might be a time just to go ahead and get out because that's the market telling me I'm going the opposite direction, okay? So, journal: was I grateful for this profit or chasing more? That's an important question. Okay. These are the kinds of things that can reveal, what your actual intentions are in the market. All right. Visualize stopping at your planned target and being satisfied. That the visualization is real. Okay. It'll help. So, ambition. Let's talk about this. Okay. You're driven to improve, but consistent profits come first. Okay. You trust that growth happens over time and not in a single trade. Okay, my greed and ambition run side by side. I have to this dynamic duo is can either be my greatest asset or my worst enemy. Okay, you're patient with learning and refining. Okay, this is another one. I wanted that golden strategy that printed money now. Okay, there's not a golden strategy that's going to print money now. I mean, there is, but you're not going to be able to do it right out of the gates, right? There is a learning curve to this. Okay, so your A game is you're driven to improve, but consistent profits come first. All right, so I recognize my ambitions there, but as long as I'm focused on consistent profits, consistently executing my plan and following my process, that's what comes first. All right, here you go. You might start trading more size and more frequently because you want to level up faster. Does this speak to anyone? This speaks very, 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 very loudly to me. I have an actual rule that are rules that I follow about leveling up. Okay. And I have to make myself do it slow. I am the hare. I'm not the tortoise. I am the hare. I sprint for this stuff, right? And I sprint fast. So fast I trip over my own feet and face plant. So fast that I run out of energy and I take a really long nap, all kinds of stuff, okay? Slow and consistent will win this game. All right, getting distracted by the next level, goals instead of today's executions. That's another one. Okay. Every time that I've been like, oh, I only need $859 to hit my goal to get funded or to hit my goal to get a payout, right? Every time it gets me. Okay. I'm a goal oriented person and I love planning. I find comfort in planning, and that can actually be a problem, right? I need to focus on today's execution, not today's outcome either, today's execution, and allow myself to get to that next level without even realizing I'm going. Okay. Just one foot in front of the other, just like the tortoise, like for real. All right. I know that's silly, but I'm telling you that's the reason why I can say this is because when I act like the hare and I'm impatient and ambitious and greedy, I fall on my face. When I act like the tortoise who is patient and just works steady and focuses on execution and not outcome, I make it there. Okay, I make payouts. 100%. Comparing yourself to others, trading outside your plan to catch up. All right, I had a whole week and I was watching everybody else make money, and I was too busy with other stuff, and I decided not to trade because I would instantly come in at a B game instead of a C game or instead of an A game. And I don't want to approach the markets when I'm already at a B, like hanging on because I'm over ambitious or whatever, right? So your C game, here you go. Over leveraging or forcing trades because you need to make it now. Okay. As soon as I start talking to someone and they start DMing me about how desperate they are, I usually recommend they go find a different side hustle. And I know that's hard. And I've had people like reach back and be like, wow, bro, that's not very encouraging. And I'm like, well, I'm just telling you, if you are over ambitious in this game is going to eat you because you're already bringing like greed and ambition to the table. Okay. I don't know. Make comment if you disagree. That's fine. Comment if you agree. I've just worked with a ton of people and trading myself. I know how it is when you're desperate. Okay. This is not a desperate man's game. All right. Risking too much to get ahead faster. Enough said. Feeling like trading has to be a big breakthrough every single day. Okay. Just let the day play out. Know that you're going to have W's and L's and just let it play out and don't let it affect you. Just keep focused on your process and just move forward one day at a time. Collect your data, journal how you're feeling, your emotions, and all that stuff that we just love to journal. That's the funnest part, is having these honest emotional conversations with ourselves. We love it. I don't, but I know that's where the profits lie. So that's what I do it. Okay. Action plan. Okay. Remind yourself ambition needs process, not impulsiveness. Okay. If you're truly ambitious, you know that ambition needs to be fueled or needs to be fueling a process, not impulsiveness. Okay. Use your ambition to fuel your process. Celebrate process milestones, not just money. Okay. When you haven't gone on FOMO for a couple months, man, celebrate that. Okay. When you go on tilt and then you tilt back and you stop going on tilt, celebrate that. Okay. Celebrate, I got my first payout because of my process. Celebrate that, right? It's not just, don't just celebrate the money. Celebrate the actual process that got you there, right? When you start elevating the process over the results and over the outcome, that's when you start putting your mind on the things that truly matter. Okay. Use journaling to track small improvements and proof that growth is happening. Okay. This can help with your mindset because a lot of times we feel so beat up, right? We feel so like, dang, man, this is like super hard. And, I just don't know if I'm ever going to get good at this. But if you're tracking it through your journaling and you're tracking the small improvements, you can see like, well, I used to go on FOMO a lot. Now it's half. It's still maybe unprofitable, but maybe you're getting that much closer. Okay. Visualize trading as a marathon and not a sprint. I'm telling you, that was me. I was like, let's get rich now. And it wasn't like a get rich Lambo kind of thing. It was like, I just want to make money for my family and provide. Okay. So it's not always like that standard greed that we think of. A lot of times it can just be, I want my freedom from the out of the 9 to 5. And so you're sprinting and you're running out of breath and you're getting tired and you're dry heaving in the grass because you can't breathe. Okay. Instead of visualizing this as a marathon where you take off at a slow jog, right? And then you make, steady improvements. Okay, lack of patience. I know this is a long video, guys. I'm sorry. This is just getting into the deep, side of my trading, and this is what has helped me is identifying my A game, B game, and C game kind of for each one of my struggles, for real. Okay, lack of patience, waiting for high quality setups only. Okay, if there are times that I will trade something that's not as high quality, but that's where the discipline of maybe taking half risk comes in. Okay, just saying. You're okay with missing a trade that doesn't fit, even if it runs straight to what you were thinking was your target. Okay, and you need to pay attention to how that makes you feel, right? Because that was an opportunity to be right. That was an opportunity to make money, but not every opportunity should you take. Okay, I don't think anyone's ever going to get to the point where they could just read the market and watch it go there. Like I've watched everybody and I've watched a lot of live trading and I see that most of them are close to 50-50. Some, of course, a little bit more. Um, you can't just sit there and call the market and be like, I'm gonna look at the market right now. This is the time I have the trade. It's this time of day. Let me look. Oh yeah, we're going down. Short. Yay, we went down. Take my profit. All right. It's not how it works. It's really not. And if it is, I mean, please comment down below and send me in the right direction. Okay. Trusting that your system will present trades in time. Okay. Many times I didn't trade and I look over my shoulder and someone else hit a banger and I'm like, dang. The mistake is to go, well, what did they do to get that trade? That's the mistake because their system is not my system and I can't learn my system, their system, someone else's system, someone else's system. So that way I hit every banger in the market. Okay. I mean, I couldn't imagine trying to handle that. All right. So your A game is being patient. It's waiting for high quality setups. You're okay with missing trades and you trust your system will present trades in time, even if someone else's caught one that you didn't. All right. Learn to be okay with that. B game, you start feeling antsy. You're missing out. FOMO anyone? All right. If not in a trade. Okay. Learning to watch the market and not trade has been one of the best trainings I ever did. Watching the market and watching other people trade and make money, and I didn't because I wanted to train myself that I don't have to trade. I don't have to. If you have to be in a trade to be comfortable, then you're gambling. I'm telling you. Okay, you're addicted to the dopamine hits that you get, right? And I would work on that. I would read some books on gambling. I've read some books on gambling. Okay, if you don't think these candlesticks are slot machine, they hit your brain like they are. Okay, and you don't want that. You want a consistent edge and a process that you can follow that will help you make money over time. All right. Okay, entering borderline setups that almost meet your criteria. Now, I put this in here, but I am flexible. Okay, if I don't get every single checkbox, it doesn't mean I won't take the trade, but it does mean that I will take the trade with the appropriate risk on the table. Okay, if I'm at a point where I'm risking $300 and I see something that I'm like, I mean, this, we swept the liquidity, not really getting fair value gaps, but we did displace. Got a CISD. Okay, maybe I'll just risk 150 on this because it's a lower probability and I'll go for it. Okay. So have a little flexibility there. But if you are entering trades that like don't even meet any of your criteria and you're just antsy and you want to enter a trade, so you're trying to find an excuse to enter a trade, you're slipping. Okay. So easily bored and clicking around too much. Okay. I worked with a guy who was like big on the whole, charting is an art and you need to be a chart artist. And I agreed with that to some extent, but the more profitable I became, the uglier my charts are and the less that's on them. Okay. Actually, they're probably prettier because they're cleaner, but they don't have all these indicators. I have time-based liquidity marked out and I visually look at fair value gaps and displacements. That's literally it. Like, that's it. That's all I'm looking at, right? There's nothing pretty about it. I don't have gone fans. I don't have spider lines and, you know, all that kind of stuff. I know people that use it and I know people that are profitable using it. So I'm not poking at it. I'm just saying. Yeah, but if you're bored and you're just drawing lines to draw lines and you're clicking and you're starting to feel antsy, just at least just recognize it, okay? At least write it down and recognize it. C game, jumping into random setups with no real plan. If you go long and then you're like, where's my target? But you're already in the trade, that's a problem. If you jump in a trade and you're like, where should I put my stop loss? But you're already in the trade, in my opinion, that's a problem. Okay. All that stuff needs to be done ahead of time. All right. Taking revenge trades because you're frustrated. Because you're frustrated waiting, right? Because you can't wait. You're so antsy that you're just like, I'm just gonna get into a trade because I've done that, guys. I've literally done that. And a lot of times I notice when I go to the charts at like 8 a.m. and I'm looking at them, a lot of times I'm like, well, I mean, it's moving a little slower right now. I could just enter a trade because I want to be in a trade. Okay. Um, Abandoning your edge entirely just to be in the market. Okay. If I'm dead center between like time-based liquidity and I'm entering a trade, there's something wrong because that doesn't even like that is number one. If we haven't swept time-based liquidity, I shouldn't even be touching the mouse. All right. Unless I'm playing some music or something. Okay, so to fight this, I use a mantra: patience is profitability. Okay, patience pays, something like that. All right. Um, Patience writes paychecks. I don't know, some kind of mantra that you can teach yourself to be like, it's okay. I know a lot of guys say sit on your hands. Okay, there's a lot of wisdom to that. Journaling each time you've waited. Okay, celebrate the discipline. All right. Seriously. Okay. I talked about it as a joke in the Tom Hogard series that I did, Best Loser Wins. Get your little kindergarten chart out and gold star. I waited today. I didn't trade out of being antsy. Gold star for me. Okay. Seriously start doing that for yourself. Okay. Before entering, ask yourself, is this a clear A game setup or am I just bored? All right. Figure it out. Talk to yourself about it. Seriously. You'd be surprised when you have these thoughts and you think through them to yourself and you ask yourself these kind of questions, the logic that flows out. You're like, yeah, I am just bored. Okay, maybe I'll just play some settlement survival. I play casual games like that once in a while. Maybe I'll do that to keep my mind at rest and wait for my levels. Maybe I'll set some alerts on my chart and kind of like mentally pull out of the market so I'm not watching every 15-second fair value gap get created. Okay. And then there you go. Step away from the screen if you feel antsy and refresh your mind. Okay. This is where you start to believe in your system. That's when you really start to like, it brings a freshness to trading, right? Because like when I'm super comfortable with my trading system, which I am, it gives me so much more comfort to just wait for it, right? Because I know that it's treated me well when I do. Okay. I really hope this has been helpful for you guys. Mental Game of Trading by Jared Tendler. I recommend this. This needs to be something that you have next to you. So I'm just going to do like the quickest recap ever. So the A game is obviously when I'm at my best. Okay. B game, I'm starting to slip, but I can at least hopefully recognize it. A lot of times I try to catch myself at the B game. All right. If I start to enter C game, usually I'm done. Like I want coach, take me out, put me on the bench. Okay. But my biggest problems is fear of being wrong, greed and ambition, which are just two dynamic duos, man. It's crazy. And then the lack of patience because I want this now and I want it yesterday. All right. These are the kinds of things that destroy my game. Okay. But with the right focus, I have learned to control and identify which game I'm operating in. And that has made a huge difference, guys. As I slip into this game, I know I'm not going to close 60% of my trades in the green. Okay. It's probably going to be like 30 or 40 because this is where I'm just like revenge trading, refusing, making emotional decisions, ignoring risk, and I mean, everything that we went over in the C game. I know that this game right here doesn't close well. This one does. So if I'm operating here, I'm good. If I start to slip here, either I catch myself and I push myself back into the A game, or I stop. Okay, for the most part. Anyways, I hope this has been helpful. Drop the likes, do all that stuff, share this out with somebody you think can benefit from it. And sorry for the length of this one, but I think that this was one of the biggest breakthroughs in my trading career, and I hope it becomes for you as well. See you in the next video.